Hello everyone, welcome to U Computing Systems YouTube channel. My name is Eugene and today I'm going to show you how you can perform migration using Windows Easy Transfer to perform migration from a Windows 7 operating system to a Windows 8 operating system. So without wasting time, let's get started. Okay, so the tool we are going to be using here is Windows Easy Transfer. So I'm going to start my virtual machine here. We are using VMware Workstation 11 and we're going to be using Windows 7 and Windows 8. So I'm going to start Windows 7 by clicking on this resume button over here. Okay, once it starts, I'll go to full screen mode and then I'll personalize the system settings over here to suit what we are about to do. I'll change the desktop background and use one of the Windows 7 desktop backgrounds. Okay, this is good. I'll save changes, close, and then my time zone. I'll set my time zone. Okay, my time zone is okay. Close it and bring my desktop icons here. And then sort by name, Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to add some data to my user profile over here. I'll just double click on my user profile over here and open document. I'm going to add some data over here so that when we do the transfer to the new Windows 8 operating system that I have, I would see the changes clearly. So I'm going to close here and get some data from my host machine. I'll minimize my VMware, open Windows Explorer, and then search for something. You can use anything. You can add any file that you want, but I have some softwares here that I would like to use. I'm going to use MAP, Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit. I'll copy Microsoft Assessment and Planning Kit and then paste it in my user profile. That is one thing about VMware. It's very flexible. You can just copy files from your host machine to the virtual machine with ease. Okay, these files are copied, but I'm going to move it by cutting it here and pasting it in my document. Okay, now I need to make sure this machine is also online. What I'm going to be doing here is a side-by-side migration. We have two ways that you can migrate your data in settings from your older operating system to your newer operating system. You can perform a side-by-side migration or a wipe and load migration. And what I'm going to do here is use Windows Easy Transfer to perform a side-by-side migration. So I need to make sure this virtual machine is also online on my local area network. There are so many ways that you can use to perform a side-by-side migration using Windows Easy Transfer. You can perform the side-by-side migration through your local area network, and then you can also use a Windows Easy Transfer cable to perform the side-by-side migration. The Windows Easy Transfer cable is a USB cable that you can use to connect your older operating system to your newer operating system and then perform the side-by-side migration. You can find some of these tools on eBay, and then you can also get it from a local computer store at where you live. I'm going to wait for this machine to start, and I'm going to make sure I set IP addresses for both machines so that they can communicate with each other over the VMware network. Okay, but before we do that, if you are using VMware Workstation but not a physical machine, you need to make sure, I'm going to leave full screen mode here, and I need to show you something here. You need to make sure your network adapters are all on the same virtual network. I'll first of all select the Windows 8 here and double click on this network icon, and then I'll make sure I switch this radio button to this side and make sure I select one of these virtual networks. It's not compulsory that you're supposed to use VMnet 2 like I'm using, but you have to make sure that if you select, let's say, VMnet 4, you have to make sure that the other machine is also connected to the same virtual network. So I'm just verifying here. As you can see, my virtual network for this Windows 8 machine is connected to VMnet 2. And then when I select or open my Windows 7 machine and verify by double clicking on this network adapter here, you also see that it's also in VMnet 2 virtual network. So things are good here. The next thing that I need to do is to set IP addresses for these machines so that they can communicate with each other. So I'm going to go full screen here by clicking on this enter full screen mode icon over here, and then I'm going to set an IP for my old machine. I'll right click on this network icon over here and select Open Network and Sharing Center, and then click on Change Adapter Settings. The IP version you're going to be using here is TCP IP version 4. That is what you're going to be using for this practice. I'll right click on my local area connection over here, go to Properties, and then I'll select TCP IP version 4 and then select Properties. I'm going to give it a class A private TCP IP version 4 address. Later we talk about TCP IP version 4 and version 6, and I'll show you the classes that we have in TCP IP version 4. And in TCP IP version 6 we don't have classes, we have types of addresses. We're going to talk about all those ones later on. So I'll set my class A TCP IP version 4 private IP address here, 10.10.10.1, and I'll give it a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. We are not going to fill in the default gateway and the preferred DNS. This is just enough for what we are about to. I'll click OK over here and click close, and then I'll go and set an IP for my new machine that has the same network ID as the one that I set for my older machine. So I'm going to do the same thing here by right clicking on my network icon over here and go to Open Network and Sharing Center, and I'm going to click on Change Adapter Settings over here, and then my network connections console opens up. But as you can see, the name for our network interface card in our Windows operating system has changed from local area connection to Ethernet 0 in Windows 8. So when you see this, don't get confused, it's the same thing. Microsoft just keep changing technologies associated with their product. So I'll just right click on this network adapter over here and go to Properties, and we repeat the same thing, but this time you're not going to use the same IP as we use for the other machine. We need to change the IP, but the network ID has to be the same. Okay, so I'll click on TCP IP version 4 here, go to Properties, switch to use the following IP address, and then type 10.10.10.2. If you use .1, we're going to have IP conflict and we're going to have issues. So I'll use .2 here, and as you can see, this subnet mask over here shows that this is the network ID for this IP address. So we can change this decimal over here and this one over here, and it wouldn't cause any problem. But when we change this one to something else like .20 something, then it can be a problem. So this is the network ID for this IP, and this one has to be constant for the two machines to communicate with each other, but you can change any one of these and then your system will still communicate with the other machines that are on this network. So I'll click OK over here and click close, and click close over here and click close over here. Now what we need to do next is to test the communication between these two machines, whether it is active. So I'm going to use a ping command to test whether this machine our older Windows 7 operating system can reach our new Windows 8 operating system on this network. If you are using Windows Easy Transfer cable, you don't need to set the IP addresses. You can just do it without the IPs. But if you are doing this side-by-side migration over a network, whether you are connecting the two machines using a crossover cable or a straight through cable that has been connected to a switch, you need to make sure you test communication before you even start the process in order to make sure everything is going well. So what I'm going to do here is to just click start over here and then type CMD, and then I'll open my command prompt. Okay, so my command prompt is opened. I'll just change the properties over here so that my friends out there can see it. Okay, so I'll change the font type to Lucida Console, and then the font size I'll set it to 18. And then there's also something fun here that you can do. You can change the colors of the background. Okay, this looks like PowerShell. Okay, let's use this. Okay, so it is not PowerShell, but we just changed the background and it's looking like PowerShell. This is command prompt, so you can also do that if you want. It's not a requirement for this practice. I just did it so that we can have a clear view of the font and the text on this command prompt. Okay, so I'm going to run the ping command. I'll type ping space the IP address of our new machine. The IP address of this new machine is 10.10.10.2. You can verify by going to the new machine and running command prompt. I just pressed window key plus R and we type CMD over here, and then you can check your IP over here by running ipconfig. Okay, let me change the font size. I'll change the font type and the font size so that we can see properly here. Okay, I run ipconfig and press enter, and it tells me my IP address is 10.10.10.2. So I'm going to ping 10.10.10.2 on my old machine to see whether I can reach it. Okay, 10.10.10.2, and then it's not going through. I intentionally made this mistake. This doesn't mean that our system is not connected to the other machine on the same network, but the problem here is our Windows firewall is blocking the ICMP traffic, the ping command. So we're going to open this traffic on our Windows firewall so that we can do our testing. I'm going to do it on both sides. I'm going to do it on this old machine, and I'm going to do it on this new machine too, so that the traffic can go through the firewall on both sides. I'm going to right click on this network icon over here, select Open Network and Sharing Center, click on Windows Firewall, and then select Advanced Settings. As you can see, our Windows Firewall is on. So we are not going to turn it off. The simplest way to do this is to just turn it off on both sides and proceed with your lab, but it's not recommended in the real world environment. So if you keep doing this, you might go and do it out there and it can just cause a whole lot of security issues. So I'm going to open this traffic on our firewall, both on the inbound interface and the outbound interface. So I'm going to create an inbound rule and an outbound rule here to allow our ICMP traffic to just pass through this firewall. I'll right click on inbound rule, select new rule, and then I'll switch to custom and click on next here, and then go, just leave it at all programs and click next here, and then it asks me what protocol type do I want to allow. I'll switch here to ICMP version 4 because we are using TCP/IP version 4, and then select customize here. And this traffic is not for all ICMP type of traffics. The ping command is an ICMP echo request, so we are just going to allow ICMP echo request, and then select OK over here and go next. And then we just leave this one up. You can also specify the IP address here. You can specify the local IP, which is the IP of this machine, 10.10.10.1 here, and then the IP of the other machine, 10.10.10.2 over here. Okay, you can also leave it at any IP if you want. And I'll go next, and then select allow connection. We are not blocking it, we are allowing it. Make sure it's at allow the connection. Go next here, and we are doing it for all the network locations, whether it's at private network location, public location, or domain location. You can also verify your current network location and then set it over here, but the network location can change depending on the environment you are in, so I recommend you always leave these ones on. I'll go next here and then give it a name, allow ping, and select finish over here. So we have a new rule over here that says allow ping, and then we're going to do the same thing for the outbound interface. I'll right click on it and select new rule, switch to custom, select next, select all programs, go next, and then change this one to ICMP version 4, customize, select specific ICMP types, select echo request, select OK, go next here. I'll leave these ones and then go next, and then I'll select allow the connection, go next, and then leave these network profiles on, go next, and then type here and give it a name, allow ping. I'll select finish over here, and I'll go and do the same thing for this guy, our Windows 8 machine, our new machine. I have to also configure the firewall here, otherwise when our Windows 7 firewall allows the traffic to pass through it, when it gets here it will be stopped. So I'll just go ahead and right click on network, on the network icon over here, select open network and sharing center, and then select on Windows firewall and select advanced settings. Okay, so we're going to create an inbound and an outbound rule to allow our ICMP traffic to come through. I'll right click on inbound rules and then select new rule. I'll switch this radio button to custom rule, go next, select all programs, go next, change the protocol type to ICMP version 4, select customize, select specific ICMP types, and select echo request. I'll click OK over here and go next. I'll allow any IP, go next here, allow the connection, go next, and I'll make sure these user profiles have been checked to apply this rule to it, and go next, and I'll give it a name, allow ping, select finish, and I'll right click here on the outbound rules, right click, select new rule, repeat the same procedure. I'll switch to custom, go next, all programs, go next, and change the protocol type version, ICMP version 4, and select customize, and I'll switch to specific ICMP types, and I'll select echo request, go OK here, go next here, allow any IP, I'll click on next here, and then allow the connection, go next here. I'll make sure the The profiles are all checked. Go next here, and I'll give it a name. Allow Ping. It's not compulsory to use this name. You can change it to anything you want. You can make it allow ICMP, allow pinging traffic. Anything you want to use, you can use it. It's just optional, and you can give it a description if you want. I'll click on finish here, and then we try again from our Windows 7 machine. I'll press the up arrow key to bring up our command again, and I'll press enter, and as you can see, we are getting reply from 10.10.2. This shows that the communication between these two machines is active. All right, now that we have our connection working between the two machines, I'm going to start the Windows Easy Transfer tool by clicking on Start, All Programs, go to Accessories, scroll down to System Tools, and I have Windows Easy Transfer over here. I'll click on Windows Easy Transfer and then select Next over here. And then I'll tell this Windows Easy Transfer tool that I'm using a network to perform this side-by-side migration. You can also specify a network location or a USB flash drive. If you don't have a network, you can specify and use it. And I also told you that you can use the Easy Transfer cable, the USB cable that is used for Windows Easy Transfer for this particular practice. Okay, so in our case, we are using a network, so I'll select a network over here and tell this Windows Easy Transfer that this is my old computer. Okay, this is my old computer. So I'll select this one over here, and it tells me that this is the key in case they ask me to specify this key. Okay, so I'll just keep this key somewhere. I'll start sticky note and type this key here, 431-248, and then I'll go next here, and it's waiting for the other side to respond. So we have this number over here, 431-248. Okay, I'm going to start Windows Easy Transfer also over here by typing easy over here. I'll click start and type easy, and it search for Windows Easy Transfer for me. I'll just click on Windows Easy Transfer here and go next here and specify that I'm using a network to perform this side-by-side migration by clicking on a network over here, and tell this Windows Easy Transfer tool that this is my new PC. And then it asks me that which version of operating system am I using. I'm not using these legacy operating systems. Okay, so I'll select this option over here that my old PC is running Windows 7. Okay, I'll select this one and go next, and it asks me of the key, so I'm just going to type this key, 431-248. Okay, 431-248, 431-248. Okay, let me just double check, 431-248. Okay, and go next over here, and it tells me connection is established, so it's checking and it's updating my Windows Easy Transfer over there. Okay, and the side-by-side migration has just begun. Looks good. It's transferring our user account, our data in our user profile, and our shared items also. This looks good. So everything on the other machine will be moved here. You remember we transferred some Microsoft Assessment and Planning Kit to our document folder. It's going to transfer that one, and then the system settings is also going to come here, and our wallpaper is going to change. Our desktop icons are going to appear and will be well arranged like how we have it on our old machine. Over here, everything will be like that. So let's wait for the process to complete, and then we will verify whether all our data has been successfully transferred. Okay, so it scans all our data on our older machine, and it's giving us the option to transfer the one that we want. We can just click on transfer over here to transfer everything, and we can also click on customize here to specify that, okay, I want it to just transfer Windows settings and my videos. It shouldn't transfer my pictures, it shouldn't transfer my music if you want, but in my case I want to transfer everything. So I'll just make sure all these checkboxes are on, close this guy, and it asks us whether we want to transfer our shared items. Okay, our items in our public folder, a folder that is shared by default on our Windows 7 operating system. If you don't want it, you can just uncheck this box to get rid of everything, or you can specify the one you want to transfer by just selecting these checkboxes here one after the other. Okay, so I'll transfer everything by clicking on this transfer button over here, and it just begins transferring. It's going to take some time, but once it's done, you're going to continue. Okay, so the transfer process is done, and as you can see, we have our wallpaper changed to the beautiful wallpaper that we had on our Windows 7 operating system, and then our icons has also been brought to the desktop. And then let's go and verify. It just gives us the option to see what was transferred. Okay, and it also gives us the option to see the list of apps that we need to install on our new PC. The reason why this has been given to us is that there are certain apps that might be in our old operating system that wouldn't be on this newer one. Like for instance, if you are performing a migration from a Windows Vista operating system to a Windows 8 operating system, it will tell you that back then we used to have a software called Windows Movie Maker, and that tool has been removed from Windows 7 and Windows 8. So when you click on this option over here, it's going to tell you if it's a Windows Vista machine that you transferred this data settings from. It will tell you that you need to install Windows Movie Maker and some applications that are not in this new Windows 8 operating system. So we're going to click on this one over here to see what was transferred. Tells us one user account was transferred, 53 document was transferred, and then our system settings. You can click detail to see the accounts that were transferred, and then you can also check the documents that were transferred. As you can see, we have our Microsoft Assessment and Planning Kit over here, the one that we placed in our document folder, and then the system settings has also been transferred. So I'll close this one over here, and then see the list of apps that we need to install, and it tells us that these ones are already installed over here. And if there are some apps that are missing, it will also tell us, and then we can know what exactly we need to do to get these apps installed. So I'll close this one over here, and then close this window, and it tells me to restart my machine to apply the settings very well. I'll click here, restart now, and then wait for it to restart. Okay, so our startup sound has even changed to the Windows 7 startup sound. We know that in Windows 8 we don't have a startup sound, it's just silent, but right now we're hearing a startup sound that looks like Windows 7. This shows that the transfer was really thorough. Okay, so I'm going to log in over here by clicking on my screen and then type in my password. Okay, all right, so once we get into the desktop, you can see everything looks good over here. Let's go and verify whether our Microsoft Assessment and Planning Kit that we transferred to our document is looking good over here. I'll open my user profile over here go to document, and it tells me the files that I was having on my older operating systems document folder. Let me close this one here. My older operating systems document folder has successfully been transferred to my new machine that is running Windows 8. All right, so that is that for performing migration with Windows Easy Transfer. We're going to move on to the next video, and that is going to help us learn how to perform migration using User Data Migration Toolkit. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.